Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paridanasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamstra. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Rindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
So, welcome to this Nectar of Instruction study. We're studying verse 6 today. So, this is the final verse of the Sadhu Sangha section. We learned in importance of association in verse 2 and 3. And in verse 4, we talked about the 6 ways in which we exchange association by exchanging gifts, offering charity, receiving charity, by offering prasad, receiving prasad, by inquiring and revealing one's mind. Like this, we had some very wonderful exchanges. And this loving association is key to our advancement in devotional service. The sweetness from these loving relationships propels us further into Krishna consciousness. And thus, we work to engage in great devotee association. It helps to awaken our dormant Krishna consciousness. Then in verse 5 last week we discussed that there are different types of devotees we identify and how we approach them and how we meet them in very specific ways. So how to engage in sadhu sangha is what we discussed last time. And we spoke of the Kanishta Adhikari, the Madhyam Adhikari, and the Uttama Adhikari. The Kanishta Adhikari sees Krishna in the temple, but cannot distinguish between devotee and non-devotee. Does not see the devotees and treats them necessarily so nicely. They are typically of first initiation, weak faith or pliable faith, and very limited knowledge of Shastra. So our approach in meeting a Kanishta Adhikari, if they are innocently in the beginning neophyte stage, then we meet with some compassion. But if they are not and yet pretending these Sahajya types, then we just with mental respect but keep distance. The Madhyam Adhikari has very strong faith. Their knowledge of Shastra is developing, and they are very expert in reciprocating with others. They have worshipped Krishna as the only object of love. They are very compassionate to the innocent. They avoid the envious, and they make friendships with their peers. And we meet them by offering obeisances. And then finally, the Uttamadhikari, one who has unflinching faith and extreme knowledge of Shastra, able to convince anyone on the basis of Shastra of any of their doubts. So this is the very advanced devotee. The heart is completely purified. There are no interests beyond the thoughts of Krishna. Right? Not interested in criticizing anybody, which will be the key topic in today's discussion. We can see that they're very humble. They're not eager to receive respect from others. Bhakti Vinod Thakur explains that an Uttamadhikari can be seen by their ability to bring many, many people to Krishna consciousness. Just by their presence alone, one is attracted to Krishna, like that of Srila Prabhupada. So we meet one Uttamadhikari with a mood of service and an intense desire to associate with them. So this meeting was service and association. So the Kanishta-adhikari, we become compassionate or just meet with respect, folded hands. The Madhyamadhikari, we offer obeisances. And the Uttamadhikari, one engages with a mood to render service and with an eagerness for association. We then spoke about the three ways to elevate ourselves, how we can elevate from the Kanishta-adhikari towards the Uttamadhikari. And the first way we spoke about is of the chanting. The powers of chanting the holy names of the Lord are so potent in purifying the heart and making advancement in Krishna consciousness. And the second is by taking initiation, diksha, surrendering to the feet of the spiritual master, as instructed by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Tadvini paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upakdeshanti te jnanam Jnaninas tattadarshinaha. Krishna says that one must, he says, inquire from a spiritual master submissively and render service. And in this way one can understand the truth, the real knowledge. It can come. So this process of initiation is very, very important in our progress of devotional service. It is not just a status symbol or a sign of, okay, I am of this caliber devotee. That is not the purpose of initiation. Initiation for is one who is eager to rid themselves of their material attachments, having understood the importance of devotional life. And finally, by increasing one's faith or confidence that this Krishna consciousness is the only means for my perfection of life. In this way, one can elevate themselves. So that's what we discussed briefly last week. So now we'll discuss this 6th verse. And this verse discusses specifically how to approach and how to treat the pure devotee. So now we're speaking about the pure devotee of the Lord, a very elevated personality. So let's discuss first of all, what is the qualification or how to determine if someone is a pure devotee. We cannot judge by outward appearance or by how long one has been in devotional service, by what color one's hair is or lack thereof, or any other means. But these are the means that we can judge. So pure devotional service means their consciousness is pure. Their consciousness is that I am spirit soul, and the only purpose of my life is to please Krishna. So to the extent I have such devotion, it means I have pure devotional service. It's unalloyed. It means it's not mixed with any other desires. No material desires. Only desire is to serve Krishna. That is the meaning of a pure devotee. No other motive. Not I am going to serve Krishna for the purpose of gaining something in return. Even gaining my own liberation or freedom from distress. For a pure devotee, he has no such desire, even for their own salvation. So we'll talk a lot about pure devotional service in the study of Nectar devotion. But this is the initial understanding. And a pure devotee, we should understand, is already liberated. This is a very important point. Though they are living in the material world, they are a liberated personality. Because liberation is not a geographic destination. It is not about where I may be geographically. Liberation is whether I am entangled in the material modes of nature. Liberation means free from the material modes. Sagunan samititaityan. That when one is unfailing in their devotional service, one becomes liberated immediately. So we should understand that this person is liberated. That will affect how we approach such a pure devotee. Okay? And they're transcendental. What it means, they're unaffected by the material world. Like one kind of mundane example in the lecture we heard was that, like a police officer. A police officer can go through the red lights without any effect because they are transcendental to the traffic laws. But a law-abiding citizen cannot. Right? So though both are driving on the road, the police officer is in a different position, able to go through the traffic lights without any repercussion. So like that, the pure devotee, though within the material world, is not entangled by the modes of material nature. So this is the status of the pure devotee. And the summary for us is that we should not see the material condition of the devotee, but only the spiritual condition. This is very important. So, because the pure devotee knows themselves not to be this body and to be spirit soul, we should not see them on the bodily conception. Right? So we should not consider the pure devotee to be an ordinary human being. These are very, very special personalities, and that warrants very special attention, and we should be very careful. So that is what Rupa Goswami is guiding us on how to interact with these pure devotees of the Lord. And now establishing who is a pure devotee, let's see the 6 things we should avoid. The offenses against a pure devotee. We should not criticize the bodily defects. We should not criticize the birth, criticize any misbehavior. Take a materialistic vision of the pure devotee, or to treat as an ordinary human being, or to try to correct or advise the pure devotee. So we should be careful of these 6 things. So we'll discuss each one in detail now. So the first is that, first of the 6 offenses, is that we should not look at the bodily defects. Again, once one is in pure bhakti, they are already liberated. It does not matter what their body looks like, whether they are fat or skinny, ugly or beautiful, tall or short, white-skinned or dark-skinned. That is of no consequence. And in the verse we see, I'm sorry, I should read the verse first. I forgot to do that. Please forgive me for that. Let me read verse 6. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee as having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee. But despite seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges water do not become polluted. They are advanced in spiritual Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. So this is the example, the analogy given, that we should not judge the Ganges water, though it may be filled with some mud or have some foam from some pollutants. It is still pure, emanating from the feet of the Supreme Lord. So it is always pure. So similarly like that, any bodily defects of the pure devotee should not be focused. That is of irrelevance. Next, we have birth. To consider the birth or the lineage, the family tree of the devotee is a offense against this pure devotee. Goswami, Prabhupada comments on, is not a hereditary title. We've already discussed in the first verse that a Goswami is one who can control the 6 urges. One who's controlled the mind and senses. That is the Goswami. So, if engaged in pure devotional service, one can be considered a Goswami. But this birthright title to a Goswami is very, very, prevalent in society. And those who have birthright in the Goswami castes also become very protective of that status because they want to have a monopoly on spiritual performances. This we saw in the pastimes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The caste Goswamis, the family Goswami, they tried to kill him because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, with his great preaching, was elevating all living entities, ordinary folks, into Goswami-like personalities, making them actual Goswamis. And this, the caste Goswamis found as a threat to their business. And thus they even tried to kill him. So pure devotees, they have the monopoly on this Goswami title. They are the only Goswamis, the pure devotees, Lord. So we should not judge based on the family designation. Right? So the devotee born in a Goswami family and those born in an ordinary family, they should be judged on the same basis. What is their qualification? It is no regard to where they're born from. It is based on qualification. So we don't discriminate the birth of the Goswami either because they are not born in some particular family. It is based on the verse 1 qualifications. But similarly, if one is born in the family of a Goswami, we should not also say, criticize, negative, say, oh, you are not a Goswami just because you are born. No, they may be, but it must be based on qualification. So we should look at them equally. Not, oh, this is an American Goswami or a Chinese Goswami or a Russian Goswami, African Goswami or Indian Goswami. It is only based on this control of the mind and senses. Otherwise, this is very offensive. And we have proof of this. Birth is not important. Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demoniac family, the son of Hiranyakashipu. Yet he is one of our 12 Mahajans, a perfect devotee. Similarly, Haridas Thakur, Namacharya, the Acharya of the holy names. He was born in a Muslim family. So we have very direct proof that birth is irrelevant. And in today's, we see Srila Prabhupada made Goswamis out of so many different disciples, coming from so many different families. And it's a very logical example can help illustrate this, that if I am the son of a judge, it doesn't make me a judge. Just being the son of that judge doesn't make me. If I qualify and study and practice, then I can become judge. So I'll be called a judge not based on my birth, but based on my qualification. Now, birth, it is helpful and important, but it is not the ultimate, right? If I'm the son of a judge, my potential to become a judge is higher. I'm surrounded in the association of like persons. So similarly, being born in a Goswami family, a bona fide Goswami family, can have great benefit because one is more likely to be able to reach that qualification. But again, it is the qualification that is relevant, not one's birth. And there's a very kind of logical explanation of this also from the perspective of Krishna. Right? Because we are all spirit souls, we are all children of Krishna. Whether I am an American body, African body, Chinese body, Russian, doesn't matter. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. And so if I say that one living entity may serve Krishna in this Goswami title and become pure devotee, but another may not. That is like saying a father has 5 children and he'll accept love from one of those children, but not from another. No father would do that. Any loving father would accept love from all of his children. So like that, we can understand that it doesn't matter what our body, where we came from. With qualification, we may render pure loving service to Krishna, and it will be equally pleasing. So again, birth is not important. It is the quality of our devotion. That is the matter. So this is a very important aspect that Rupa Goswami is guiding us to be very, very careful of. The third offense we may make in speaking with or evaluate or interacting with pure devotees is to criticize the misbehavior. And Krishna says very, very clearly in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. He says, Arjuna, you declare boldly, my devotee does not perish. So Krishna does not want us to criticize the misbehavior. He himself says is to be considered saintly. Right? So we may wonder why. Why Krishna is making such a bold proclamation. Someone has performed some, maybe heinous activity even. Some very severe mistake. Still we should not judge? That question may arise in our heart. But it is a very precise reason why Krishna has explained this and why Rupa Goswami is cautioning us against this. Even if a pure devotee makes a very severe mistake, they should not be criticized. Because we know that the material nature, Maya, is very strong. And we're all susceptible. But Krishna consciousness is so powerful, bhakti is so potent, that even if a mistake is made, one can purify from such mistake. And that is why Krishna says that if he is engaged in devotional service, he is considered to be saintly. Meaning, if one remains in bhakti, then by the power of bhakti, one will purify or overcome such mistake. So it is not our position to sit and criticize some mistake. Because by the continuation of pure devotional service, one will remain transcendental. Temporary fall downs does not disqualify one. And there's something we must be very careful about here in this, being considered saintly. That the mistakes one make, they must be truly accidental, unintentional. If I intentionally commit offenses, knowing how powerful bhakti is, this is the 5th offense of chanting the holy names of the Lord. To commit offenses on the strength of chanting the holy names. Then one is not protected. So the offense, the mistake must be unintentional. And one must be in a lamenting mood, remorseful of such a mistake. Not very whimsical, oh, no big deal. I'm in bhakti, I'm all set. No. Recognizing, yes, material nature is powerful, a mistake may happen, but if one remains fixed in their bhakti and is lamenting this unintentional mistake, then one is considered to be saintly. And we should be very careful not to try to find faults. And this fault-finding characteristic, it is almost like human nature. But we have to be very, very careful of this tendency. It is so easy to find faults. When we see somebody, we have to work very hard to find somebody's good qualities. But their faults will come out at the tip of our tongue. We can speak for hours. We can give fault katha on somebody for hours. But we don't find the good qualities. But Krishna is the exact opposite. He overlooks all of our imperfections in seva and looks at the few good things that we do And those he focuses on. But we in the conditioned state do the opposite. Somebody may be doing 99 really, really extraordinary things. Yet the one fault or deviation we find, that will consume our consciousness. And this tendency of fault finding, it is born out of envy and jealousy. When we start to see faults in others, we should do some introspection and see, am I envious of this person? Do I have some envy or jealousy? That is the most typical root cause of this fault finding. And it is explained that when we see faults of others, it is only a reflection of ourselves. The faults we find in others are actually present in our own heart. They are just mirrors for us to look introspectively with. So we should be very careful not to, be judgmental or to find these faults. Krishna does not need us to report to him all the misdeeds of everyone. He is sitting in everyone's heart as Paramatma. That is not part of our job description. We should focus on our own impurities and see how I may uplift those. And when observing externally, we should only see the good things that people are doing. We should not focus on any of the imperfections. So this is the third offense to avoid in interactions with the pure devotees. The fourth is we should say no to materialistic vision. Observing a devotee based on the flag they carry on their passport is irrelevant. Right? Seeing from external features, black, white, green, blue, doesn't matter. Right? If we do, it means that we think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain type of person. Only certain of Krishna's children may love Krishna. How any loving father could withstand such ridiculousness? No. Okay? So we should be very careful. In our impure state, we tend to be very judgmental this way. Because what is the real measure of one's advancement? One is superior or inferior, not based on the color of their skin, or their gender, or their intelligence, or their social status, or their job, or whether they are a PhD or not. That has nothing to do. What is one superior or inferior is based on the development of their Krishna consciousness. How strong are they in their Krishna consciousness? That is the metric by which we may see. So taking a materialistic vision is an offense in looking at a pure devotee. The next one is to treat a pure devotee as an ordinary human being. To not show proper respect. And we do this if we do not understand who is a pure devotee and how great their qualification is. One who has lost all desires for material life, who is fully engrossed in serving Krishna. So we should show proper respect, offering our obeisances, eager to render service, eager to associate with such a pure devotee. And we should not become jealous of this empowered devotee. Sometimes when we see a senior devotee, this tendency, becomes of envy, trying to bring them down. But this is not the way to interact with a pure devotee. And next is to try to discipline or correct a pure devotee of the Lord. This is the sixth and final way. If we see some deviating behavior, we should be very careful not to correct. Not because the mistakes can be fallen, that is a separate point, but this is a different one. The warning here is, we may not know why this pure devotee is doing such an action. Just like child sometimes sees father or mother doing some activity, and they cannot understand. It seems contradictory to what they were told. But because a child has an immature vision, they don't know why mother or father is performing a certain activity. So like this, when we are in the association of a pure devotee, we should be very careful. Oh, why they're doing this? Why they're doing that? When Uddhavji is carrying the message of Krishna to the gopis in Vrindavan, the gopis are speaking in such a mood of extraordinary love, ecstatic love, fully immersed in the pains of separation from Krishna. They speak in very interesting ways. They begin to actually rebuke Krishna. They begin to criticize Krishna and chastise him. Now, if we try to see this and say, oh, they should not do that, don't speak up to Krishna like that. No, we don't understand the mood of love that is existing within the gopis. So like this, we don't know what we are seeing. We should be careful and not provide any advice or try to judge. Right? And what if we don't know if someone's a pure devotee or not? Then we should err on the side of caution. Don't judge. We don't know what is actually going on in their heart. Right? So, if we are in a position of management and you have a responsibility to guide devotees, then yeah, you may have to provide some advice or some corrective means. But that is only if that is your position. If that is not your position, then don't do it. Right? So, and the goal, if you're in that position, the goal must be to help that person improve in their devotional service, not to make ourselves feel better by pointing out one's shortcomings. And Srila Prabhupada, we see, you may have noticed in the purport, he speaks very strongly about the experience with his godbrothers, who were, he calling them out for their criticism of what Srila Prabhupada was doing, trying to fulfill the order of their spiritual master. And he begins to say that only one who is empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can preach around the world. It was a guide, a message to his godbrothers. So we can see for sure how Srila Prabhupada was certainly empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we should be very, very careful in this judging or trying to discipline or correct or advise. Sometimes we see things and we think, oh, you should not do that way, but don't do it. We don't know what is in the heart of that person and how they are doing it. So, really in summary, that we should be very mindful, Rupa Goswami is guiding us, to not, again, judge the book by its cover, looking at external circumstances. The position of a devotee is based on their devotional service and their internal consciousness, not any material designations. How he or she is engaged in service is critical, not one's birth or one's bodily situation or one's, color of skin or social designation. And we don't judge by, one's, dhoti, tilak, shaved head, bead bag, singing nice bhajans, being able to decorate the Lord. No, we don't know what is in the heart of somebody. Someone may be offering arti to the Lord, and to us externally they look very uninterested and distracted. And we may think, why they are not paying attention to the deities? But we don't know what is in the heart of that devotee who is offering. And someone else may be offering with very sweet and elegant hand motions, very grand. And we may think, oh, this is a pure devotee. But we may not know what is in the heart of that devotee. Maybe they are thinking, oh, look how sweetly and elegantly I am offering. And they're having a mood of pride. So like that, we should be very careful not to judge and look at anyone's activities. We don't know what is in their heart. Krishna knows. And it is not our job description. So be very, very careful. Even seeing somebody in ecstasy, tears are flowing from their eyes. Yeah, be very, very careful. And stop this fault-finding nature. Right? This is really, really important for us. Krishna is only seeing the good that we do. We should also see only the good in others. And Prabhupada says on page 63, I just wanted to read this quote, a very nice summary statement he makes, which is that the Krishna conscious movement is a transcendental science and there is no room for jealousy. This movement is meant for the Paramahamsas, who are completely free from all jealousy. One should not be jealous whether he is born in a family of Goswamis or has the title of Goswami awarded to him. As soon as one becomes envious, he falls down from the platform of Paramahamsa. Again, this judging, comes out of envy, this criticizing, right? So we should be very, very careful that it happens. And unfortunately, the more we progress in devotional service, the more tendency this can occur. Although it should be the opposite effect, meaning the more we progress in devotional service, the more we should purify from this envy. But as we grow in our devotional service, we begin to get some position and maybe some respect. Then we begin to become envious of others who have more. Initially, when we are new, everybody is senior devotee. We are so humble. We are so eager to learn, open-minded. But as we progress in bhakti, sometimes this nature becomes more profound, though it should be exactly the opposite. So we should be very, very careful that we don't let this creep into our consciousness. One question may come up. Well, does this mean to the non-pure devotee, I can judge them, I can look at them by birth, I can criticize? No. Because we don't know that soon they will also become pure. So we should not judge anyone, whether pure devotee or non-pure. We should apply this principle broadly and liberally. Because if we don't be careful of these offenses, we will fall down. We'll become prideful, puffed up. As soon as ego, pride enters, we'll fall down. And again, the more advanced we become in devotional service, the more potential there is to become proud. But we must all remember, we are just tiny sparks given an opportunity to serve Krishna. Though Krishna has billions of servants and he is not in need of anything we may cook for him or sing for him, he enjoys it out as an offering of love. So we should not become proud or puffed up or commit these offenses, because when we commit the offenses, when we criticize a devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls it Hati Mata, the mad elephant. What is this example? The mad elephant, when it enters a garden, in just a few moments it can destroy an entire garden that the gardener may have spent years manicuring and developing and cultivating with so much effort and care. But the elephant in a moment can destroy it all. So like this, we should be very careful not to criticize and make offenses, because it destroys our bhakti. In an instant, we can throw away all of our devotional service. And the pastime of Japala Gopal was given in Chaitanya Charitamrita in this regard. This Japala Gopal, he was very envious of Srivas Thakur and the great ecstatic kirtans that were taking place in his home. And not being able to enter, he decided to try to defame Srivas Thakur. And he brought some paraphernalia for the worship of a particular form of goddess Durga, not Durga herself, but one of her forms. And he brought some wine and liquor and some other paraphernalia that are non-Vaishnava materials. And he put it to doorstep of Srivas Thakur. So all those who were walking along the street would see, oh, in Srivas Thakur's house, he is having this type of stuff. So when Srivas Thakur arose in the morning and opened his door, he saw this. And he did not react by saying, no, this is not mine. He says, see, this is my real identity. He took a great mood of humility. I said, this is who I am. Come see, everybody see. Sometimes if we have some faults, we try to hide them, sweep them under the rug. This was not even a fault. This was a ploy, a plot by this person. But, of course, Srivas Thakur's name and fame could not be impacted. But what was the consequence of such action by this Chapala Gopal? Shortly thereafter, he became afflicted with severe leprosy. His body was melting away. Slowly, bit by bit, so much pain and suffering. And he went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he begged for forgiveness. He begged, say, you are the Patita Pavana, you are the deliverer of all. Please deliver me. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, this is just the beginning of your suffering. You will suffer this leprosy through 8.4 million species of life for this offense to my pure devotee. It was very heavy and harsh reaction. But Srivas Thakur, being a wonderful, compassionate devotee, forgave this person, and his leprosy was cured by the mercy of the pure devotee. And he very shortly thereafter joined the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we should be very, very careful to avoid these offenses because they can destroy our bhakti in a millisecond. Right? So avoid this nature to be envious, jealous, developing animosity, and remain very sweet with our interactions, not just with pure devotees, but with all devotees, focusing on the good and ignoring the bad. So this is verse 6, Srila Rupa Goswami's guide to us in our interactions with pure devotees. So, any comments or questions? There's one question online I'll read that Sangeeta Mataji is asking, what if we do if someone else always judges and criticizes us? This is a good question. Tunadapi sunichena tarodapi shahishana manina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to do kirtaniya sadahari, to become fixed in chanting the holy names. Become tolerant like a tree. If you criticize a tree and judge a tree, it will still give you the apple and orange. So like that, we should be tolerant. Ignore it. Amanina manadena. I don't need respect from anyone. When someone is criticizing us, the devotee thinks introspectively, what am I doing? Yes, how I can improve. Uses as an opportunity to purify and to improve their position. Don't reciprocate back. So we tolerate. We don't have any expectation of receiving respect and admiration. Actually, a devotee prefers to be criticized than to be glorified. The devotee does not like to be glorified because they know that if they are glorified, there is a potential to become proud and puffed up, and then they will fall in bhakti. So the devotee invites criticism. Please show me all of my faults, where I am not doing good, so that I may improve in the process of bhakti. So this is the mood we should take when someone is criticizing us. So, thank you very much, Mataji, for your question. Any other questions or comments, discussion today?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
A question when you were discussing on the verse 6 here, you're talking about the qualities of the who are pure devotees, I think, he said that they are already in a liberated stage, and then you said they are also transcendental to the material laws. Could you elaborate
Yeah.
on that?
So liberation means that I'm no longer entangled in the modes of material nature. The mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance do not affect me. I'm operating on a higher platform. I am operating in the Shuddha Shattva, mode of pure goodness. So I don't have these material modes in my consciousness. All those qualities have been dissipated, and I'm having only pure devotional qualities. That is the meaning of liberation. Because one in the spiritual world is free from all material modes, but also that situation can be achieved here in the material world. And thus Prabhupada quotes that verse, Mam chayo vibacharena bhakti yogena sevataya sagunan samititya brahma bhuya kalpate. That by performing devotional service unfailing, one at once can transcend the modes. At once means in this body. One can get beyond the modes of material nature, meaning they no longer affect us. I am no longer driven by the desires of mode of passion or ignorance or even of the modes of goodness. I'm purely fixed in my bhakti. So though they are within the material world, they are not contaminated by the material modes of nature. So we should not think, oh, because they're in the material world, they must be also having these contaminations. No. It is possible to be within the material world, but not be influenced by the modes of material nature. So that is the position of the pure devotee. And the example I gave was the police officer and the citizen on the road. Both are on the road, but the police officer is not beholden to the laws of the road. They may go through any light. Whereas the citizen, being subject to the laws, must obey those laws. They're subject to those laws. So in some way, it's not a perfect analogy, but it's some way to say that a pure devotee within the material world should be known not to be subject to the modes of material nature. It's okay?
Thank you, Bhakti. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, this verse 6 is about how one who is progressing in the spiritual life should see others in the material world. Is the summary, Prabhu?
Say it again, Prabhu.
Is this verse 6 is kind of telling us one who is practicing this spiritual activity in this progress, how he reacts to others while he progresses this spiritual life. Is a summary, Prabhu?
Yeah, it's while we're practicing devotional service, specifically Rupa Goswami is advising us to be careful of the offenses against a pure devotee. So that we should not judge a pure devotee by these external circumstances. So if we see a very, I'm just going to speak in a little bit graphic terms, but we see a very fat, sannyasi, we should not think, oh, they are not a devotee because they're not controlling their senses because they are fat. Right? That is just one, again, very gross example of such a type of vision. So Rupa Goswami is warning us to be very careful in judging the pure devotees of the Lord. Because we tend to be judgmental. He knows our nature, our tendency. Oh, this devotee looks very good. They're very shiny and effulgent, very beautiful look. They sing bhajan so melodiously. But that is not indicative of the purity of their heart. Or this is an Indian Goswami. They must be more pure than this American Goswami. And this was happening during the time of Srila Prabhupada, where those in India were rejecting these Western sannyasis, thinking, oh, they are not real sannyasis. So they're making these offenses that Rupa Goswami gave not to make 500 years ago. He was warning, don't make these mistakes. Right, so he's guiding us. And then our application can be even more liberally applied, that we should not, do this to anyone. But specifically, the verse is guiding us, because the danger of this offense is it can ruin our bhakti. Rupa Goswami is guiding us how to advance our bhakti, not to ruin it. But making this offense can ruin our bhakti, so that's why he's guiding us this way.
Okay. And okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Can you give a little bit details on what is the treat ordinarily, Prabhu?
The what?
There is the fifth offense or kind of criticizing thing. Treating ordinarily. Can you give some details?
Yeah, just like, I'll use a mundane example to illustrate. Like, if you go to see the king, right? And if you go to see the king and say, "Hey, king, what's up?" and you try to give him a high five.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that the way to treat a king? No. You treat with some respect. So similarly, with a pure devotee of the Lord, we don't carry a very casual interaction like an ordinary human being. We offer respects. They are seated on some higher platform. We are seated on a lower platform, expressing our humility for this pure devotee. We don't, just again, we treat with this mood of awe and reverence, appreciating their position as a pure devotee, appreciating the greatness of their position and their purity of bhakti. Right? So that is what we do. Rupa Goswami is guiding us. Don't treat just as some ordinary person.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu. And this thing which you said, right, Prabhu, trying to correct others. So is it something like, how is that related to sharing something to others, Prabhu? We see that, okay, that's not correct. Okay, we share our example. So should we even do that, or we should not do that? Because they may have a different thought process in their heart.
Yeah. So that's a good point in the practical application now. So we have to look at what is our relationship with that person, right? So if I have a relationship with a person that is one where that person may receive that information for the purpose of benefiting their devotional service, then yeah, we can correct and we can guide, that to do that. But we should look at our position and our relationship with that person. And if we're going to do it, we should be extraordinarily careful that my motive is pure. My motive is only to help that person. But if you're in doubt, the better thing to do is we can discuss with some senior devotee. I'm seeing this. I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, but if you think some action needs to be taken, then you decide. Now, don't go to, did you see what this person's doing? They should be kicked out of... No. Just in case, if you know, I don't know, I saw this, not sure, I don't know, so I'm giving to you because you might know. In that mood of humility, if we're not in position. If it's a dear friend and, we are discussing, we're revealing our hearts, then we can guide and we can, correct. Oh, I saw you do this, but I think maybe it's this way. What do you think? Right? So in that mood, we can share our realizations and help each other in devotional service. Right? So, but that must be our mood.
Okay, Prabhu. And to follow one more question, Prabhu, sometimes if the people, because the people see the other people see us in some change which we are doing in this spiritual progress, where they start to criticize us. You are wasting your time, you are wasting your whole life. So that situation definitely will affect the mind at that point in time, to think ourselves that, am I going in the right path? Although in the other sense of your mind it says correct, but this keeps disturbing you.
Yeah.
So how to because you said the Sastakam prayers, we should be humble and tolerant in that situation also. but as a neophyte people, neophyte people, how to overcome that?
Yeah, and that's why Rupa Goswami is giving so much. Again, 3 of the 11 verses is on sadhu sangha, association. So when we encounter that, those doubts will creep into our mind. We have to double up with good association. Associate with those who have this strong faith, so that our faith will solidify. Right? The Kanishta Adhikari is in a very precarious position. Because their faith is pliable, they may be pulled off of this path by some external circumstance. Either someone criticizing them, like as you explained, or maybe an allurement of some other material, opulence, or anything. Because the faith is still pliable. So what does the Kanishta Adhikari do? They maintain good association, the fence around our bhakti, so that we can be protected from such thoughts. And so when it's happening like that, we be careful. And those who are criticizing us, we try to keep distance. But when we keep distance from somebody, it should always be respectful distance. Meaning we should not develop animosity in our heart if somebody is criticizing us. But we may keep respectful distance. You know what? I can't tolerate that, and I don't like it, that it creates doubts in my mind, so I'll just create respectful distance. Don't create animosity distance. Right? And that way we can develop this devotional quality, and we can pray for them. But we should not also care, because they have faith in their position of being right on material affairs. But our faith should become strong and strong and stronger, that this is the path. Rupa Goswami said, Utsaha Nischayad. We should be confident that this is the only path of perfection, and Krishna's mercy will help me achieve it. So we remind ourselves, right? We go back. No, this is right. Oh, yes, this person is saying, but no, this is right. Right? So in that way, in association and service, we kind of follow that. It's okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. There's one more online question. How to take if someone criticizing your guru, parampara, or something? Yeah, that is very, very painful. Again, we should evaluate our position in that relationship. If we are not so strong to defeat that person, we should just remove ourselves immediately from that association. Run away. Move away. If someone is criticizing, maybe out of ignorance, and there's an opportunity to correct their understanding, then you can try to correct their understanding also. So that they may have the benefit and the blessings of what you have. But that's very, very painful to hear the criticism of someone we love. Just like if you love your child, your son or daughter, and someone criticizes them, nothing can make you more angry than that. That's out of love. So that feeling is natural, but we should try to understand our situation and then react accordingly. But we remember, anger, krodha, it does have a positive engagement, which is protecting the reputation of Krishna and his devotees. So in some way, we may be in a position to do so, but we should evaluate how strong we are to be able to do such thing. And if we are, then maybe we can, resist back. But again, resisting back not out of pride or out of self-preservation. Resisting to protect one we love, Krishna, Guru, or Sampradaya, like that. But in many cases, particularly in the neophyte stage, it's best just to remove ourselves from that situation and not become affected. So.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, you said we should not judge any devotees. So, but it's our nature. Always we want to judge. But you said we should not do. But like, how we can just divert our mind, like whenever it's coming, and like our tongue is very active in bad way, not in good way. In bad way, it's very active. Always, it's come out something bad about others. So like that moment, whenever it's coming in our mind, in that moment, how we can divert, Prabhuji?
Yeah, very nice question. The fist or the hand, you can inflict some pain by slapping or someone. But the pain we can inflict by our tongue is much more severe, as you just nicely explained. So we should be careful that, when first understand the tendency to judge is there. It's one of our impurities. So we acknowledge, okay, it's coming. I must, try to purify from this. So talk ourselves through it. I should chant more. I used to use one practical example that if the urge comes to criticize or say something about somebody, first let me go chant one round. And then if that urge remains, then maybe I will. like that. But we keep reminding ourselves that this is not good. Remember, Krishna is only looking at our good. So I should only look at the good. Why I should look at somebody's bad things, right? So like that, with knowledge, with association, we talk ourselves out of those situations. And if, initially, we may not be able to talk ourselves out before the action, but at least after it, we should be introspective. Oh, I should not have done that. This was wrong. I should not have reacted this way. This person is doing so many good things. They're doing this and that. And we should meditate on that and at least correct after the fact, if we are not so quick to do it before the fact, so that next time we have a greater probability that we'll be able to stop before the fact. So like that, we work to make progress. Again, we're not going to be perfect overnight. It's not like you put your hand in the bead bag and all of a sudden we're going to be judgment free. No, it's going to take time because this nature is very deeply rooted within us. But we should just be honest with ourselves. So even after the fact, just think, no, I should not have done that. And when we do it, if we're judging somebody, I'll tell you one thing I like to do, that if I have some ill feeling or something or see something, I will go out of my way to glorify that person, go to that person and, tell her, oh, you're doing something. Not trivially or mechanically, but out of the heart. And it's an amazingly powerful means to soothe the heart, because actually this judging, it's very painful to the heart. It consumes our consciousness. So like that, we can push ourselves to see the good in people, to stop seeing the bad, and again, recognize it won't happen immediately. It'll take some time, but make progressive steps each day and bite the tongue. Control the tongue, because it's very vicious. Just a few words in an instant can create so much pain. So like that, we try to control. And the best means to develop all these qualities is good chanting. By chanting, these qualities automatically emerge. The good qualities, that is. And the bad qualities are removed, purified from the hearts. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, the Darpana, the mirror of the heart. It has so much dust accumulated for so many years. These impurities. So how to remove this dust? How to cleanse the mirror of the heart, he says? Sankirtanam, chanting. So by chanting, we will cleanse these impurities. So that is the ultimate means. But sometimes we also need some logic and some, we have to talk ourselves through that. So that was the initial piece. But the ultimate means is by good chanting. So,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
thank you. There's one more online question. What to do if someone's trying to control our bhakti? Well, we should remove ourselves from any negative influences on our bhakti and put ourselves under the shelter of those who have our best interest at heart. Right? So if someone is trying to manipulate our process and practice of devotional service in a way that we are not feeling comfortable, then we should seek shelter of another advanced devotee who can guide us. We need guidance. Unfortunately, we cannot act on our own. We don't know anything. So if someone is, having malicious, interactions with us in our devotional service, then we can, again, with respect, don't burn, don't go guns a-blazing. Respect, keep distance from such a person and keep close association with those who are guiding us and with love and purity of purpose, who don't have an agenda or a motive. Because when one is trying to control us, it means that they have an agenda that is different from our own advancement in spiritual life. So like that, we put ourselves in situations where we can be successful and remove ourselves from those situations that are causing us some strife or difficulties in devotional service. So that is what to do if someone is trying to control or manipulate our devotional life. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
There was a question asking what perspective we should observe and position of the devotee, and what perspective should be relevant to observe a devotee. Is it like a material point of view, internal, external, or something?
I'm sorry, Prabhu, I didn't quite hear that. It was coming in a little bit fuzzy. So you said...
No, so there was a question, what perspective should we observe advancement and position of a devotee, and what perspective is irrelevant in determining position of a devotee?
Yes.
Material point of view, something?
Yeah. So the advancement of a devotee is based on the development and the purity of their bhakti, the consciousness of their heart. It is not based on how many years they have been in the temple. It is not based on how many verses of Bhagavad Gita they have memorized. It is not based on how nicely they sing for the Lord. It is not based on how nicely they cook for the Lord or how they decorate. It is based on the purity of their heart. So, and that is something that we are not really in a position to be able to judge. And thus we should not try to judge. All right? So that is the criteria that is relevant in one's advancement. And Rupa Goswami will give us some other criterias a little bit more specifically in the Nectar of Devotion.
Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, some people in the family are like the close relatives, somebody, they keep on lying and, they say something and they say, no, I didn't say that. They're hurting and they know that they're doing that, but still they won't agree that they're doing. Is it okay to ask them, tell them that it's not good to talk like that, or is it okay? Is it? Do I have to leave them, Prabhuji?
Again, it depends on our.
It hurts when
Yeah.
Chanting also becomes bad when I think of that.
Yeah.
We cannot concentrate on chanting too.
Yeah, so the pain that we feel, the way we should understand that when someone is doing anything, lying or judging or any bad activity or even committing some breaking regulative principles, we should understand in a mood of compassion that it is due to their conditioning. It is due to their conditioning of the heart. So what a devotee does is try to help remove some of that conditioning by feeding prasad, by, sharing the holy name, whatever we can do with such work. So, we can feel bad, but we don't become depressed about it. We understand it's a nature based on the conditioning of the heart, based on our impurities. So we can become inspired to how to help that person. Maybe not directly. They may not want to hear from us, don't lie. So we can indirectly help them by helping them purify through some indirect means of devotional service. Something that will help, them advance. Again, they may not be ready to chant japa. So maybe I'll chant in front of them and they can hear, just by hearing their benefit. Or maybe I'll, send them a picture of Krishna and they can see. Whatever, whatever within the relationship. And we have to assess, is this a relationship that is very important to me that I must maintain? Then yeah, we try to fix it. Otherwise, it's sometimes we get to the point where it's a relationship I'll keep respectful distance. Again, respectful, always respectful, never disrespectful, but maybe some distance. So we have to assess the nature of that relationship and then kind of react accordingly. If it's a very, very close relationship, one that we, want and need to keep very close, then we find ways to help them through their conditioning. Because that is the source, the root cause of this activity. Okay? And don't let it trouble our bhakti. Because we know that we are independent of this. Okay, if they're doing some things that are inappropriate, that is between them and Krishna. Actually, I am not affected. That is between them and Krishna. What I can do about it? Nothing. Krishna knows. He is all-powerful Supreme Controller. So he must have some, situation to arrange. So let him worry about it. Let me worry about my japa and my service. It's like that we can try to come to a more peaceful mind.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Right.
Anything else today? Okay. So if anything else comes, you can send any messages if you'd like. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.